So let me take a minute to introduce Pradeepta to you. And Pradeepta is going to talk on innovation-based development. And he has been, I mean, you can see, I think he was continuously getting 40 under 40 data scientist award. And he's been a go-to person because especially when his company earlier, the small boutique firms that they were handling, it's now taken over by LTI, but now he is uh, kind of leading all the AI innovations there under the umbrella called Fosfor. Very interesting set of projects. I think you should all check what exactly this Fosfor and a series of such applications which is around it. And he's the head of AI, an expert in conversational knowledge systems and anything on AI. So over to you, Pradeepta.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about what are the emerging technologies and in the what I can say in today's world, and very specifically to the AI ML side of things, and how things are changing rapidly. It is touching different functions, verticals, and different businesses as well. And with the changing landscape where we are currently, what are the opportunities lies for us in future, and how we are going to grab those opportunities through the lenses of innovation, and what are the prerequisites, how we will pursue those innovations in those emerging areas or emerging technologies, and how do we leverage like not necessarily AI need to be involved, but without AI also we can achieve certain things. To start with, what is the current state? So the current state is that today we are sitting on 5.2 billion active internet users globally, right? So if you look at the trend is almost you can say doubling in 5 years. Now imagine just next 5 years, what would be the total internet like users, total number of internet users. So as people use more and more internet, they leave certain footprints, right? So the footprints could be the interactions, it could be the content they're generating, could be the text, image, video, audio, or it could be like you can say like bunch of text documents. You can imagine the WhatsApp chats, or not necessarily one platform. There can be multiple platforms also, different conversational you can say interactions that are being happening. So the way we interact, the way we perceive things, the way we like do research in figuring out certain things. So everywhere there is some bit of you can say intelligence which is lying behind the scene. What does that mean? That means this automated decision making process. Now, if you imagine I'm watching, let's take Netflix. Why suddenly this movie is being recommended to me? Because of some algorithm is trying to predict that I may be interested in this content, right? But not necessarily I have expressed my interest, or not necessarily I have expressed my intent historically, not necessary. It can be because of similar behaviors. In other people, it can be because of my past historical data. This could be anything. So the idea here is as as we generate more and more contents, more and more historical data, logs, and digital footprints, there is a system which need to interpret what I'm actually looking for. There is a need for a system which can predict what is exactly I'm looking for. So the idea here is automated decision making process. So to me, in future, what is that we are like as a business, as a user, what we want to do, automated decision making process. So that's the future of technology. Now, even if it's like as a user, you would definitely always want to know what I should be doing, how I can minimize, let's take my time in searching for things, how I can take a smart decisions. So always, as a user, you would be always thinking, how can I benefit it? How can I get benefits out of those digital innovations or the things that is happening around us? Simple example, if I want to buy a smartphone, what is the best smartphone that I should purchase? Right now, there can be various conditions. You can say it depends. What's your usage? What's your budget? What's your price? Whatever it is. Now, given all those circumstances, can somebody tell me, okay, this is the best smartphone you could purchase, right? So as a user, always my intent is how can I take like automated decisions. So looking at the future of technologies, those 5 themes are going to rule next 2 to 5 years. Now, AI definitely. So starting from sales to security for all business sizes. Now, the businesses can be small, businesses can be medium, as well as like large businesses or enterprise businesses. But there is a need. Small businesses, even if they can't afford to the AI solutions today, but they are also like large organizations where they have enough money, they can their budget is quite big enough so they can afford to AI solutions. But what happens to the small scale organizations? Now, small organizations, can they look for some kind of startups which can provide them the AI solutions? Can they look for some kind of consulting? The people who are providing the consulting services in AI domain. Now, can they get benefited out of it? So AI is all pervasive across different domains, verticals. Now talk about very small, like maybe a real estate sales agent. What this person want to know is that whether this customer is interested in buying this property or not. If there is no intent, there is no conversion probability. Definitely, it doesn't make sense to like speak multiple times to this person, spend more time with that particular lead, right? Can an AI system clarify? Can an AI system just differentiate the interested customers from non-interested customers? Probably can classify them like hot leads, cold leads, and warm leads. The hot leads only this person can follow and simply can have conversations for a better conversion rate. So AI is required there, right? Now, it's not just only the historical information, it can be the current state of the property as well. So this is just a few examples. Similarly, in security domain also, in a network, like if an additional device is getting hooked to a particular network, now here, what is the vulnerability of that particular device? What kind of threat vectors this particular device is bringing to the system? Now, can we predict it in advance so that we can just white noise that, or we can just clarify, okay, this device is okay to be uh, introduced to this particular network, right? So not only this one, so security, you can have different kinds. For example, predicting the personalized informations, predicting the usage of personalized informations, predicting the layers where the PII information is being stored or where the data is being compromised. Similarly, identifying not only the spam identifications or like email classification, the like genuine legitimate emails versus non-legitimate emails or spam emails. There can be other, you can say, use cases where like in security domain you can predict maybe the ransomwares. Can we predict the anomaly things in a particular network? So there can be, you can just think about various use cases. Now you need a thinking. First, you need to understand what AI can do, what AI cannot do. Based on that, you can configure your solutions, think solutions. So you can say sales, not only for a specific real estate domain, it can be sales of anything, product, services, anything. Similarly, IoT, where IoT, you have bunch of connected devices, they are just creating information mess. Now, can I clarify the information from there, feed some kind of analytics to the downstream systems to take decisions? Now, IoT is it's not just about connecting data, it is like information, various breeds of information which is available. Now, what can I do with that information? Can somebody present me some kind of analytics out of it? What are the decisions I can take? How I can use it, right? So if you look at globally, almost around 68 to 70% of the organizations, they do not realize the full potential of the data that they are collecting today, right? Which gives a big opportunity for us to understand why they are not using. Is it the volume of data? Is it the type of data which they are not able to analyze? Is it the intent they don't want to do it? Is it they don't know the potential of it, right? How can they utilize that data to do what kind of analytics? So it can be anything out of this, but this is the reality. And out of this, almost 82% of the organizations, even if they know that the data can be used, they lack the skill sets. They don't have people to look at the data. They don't have people to build such kind of analytics solutions, right? So that's why there is a big gap there. So we can develop the skill sets, not only from the big data or analytics side of things, also including cybersecurity and other aspects also. We can look at horizon, the complete horizon here, and we can bridge that particular gap. So there is a huge gap that exists today. Similarly, there are certain events or experiences. If we are physically present in that particular scenario, we can realize something. Now, how this AR and VR is reducing and what is the need for it? AR and VR typically today used for like fitness applications. It is used for experience centers. It is used typically to simulate the real events. Now, this mixed reality, this is the third important emerging technology. Now, this mixed reality or this augmented reality or virtual reality itself, it cannot solve the problem. So here you need embedded solutions. The embedded solutions could be the artificial intelligence or some layers of machine learning also would be required there, right? The fourth emerging technology is the natural language understanding bit. We know that, okay, now there are a bunch of libraries, we can just use those libraries and we can develop some natural language processing solutions. It's not that simple. So language has its own nuances. You cannot even do parsing of the language when some unrecognized characters are there. You can't just do a parsing like simple tokenization also cannot help you in arriving at the features that you are looking for. So sometimes you need intelligent processing of the languages. Now that's why the language models have evolved over time, and you can see the GPT-3s of the world and the OpenAI models are also available today. Now, is it the final solution? Is it something state of the art technology that I can straight away connect to my applications and start using it? No, we cannot do that. Now, here comes what are the improvements that is required. So be it natural language generation or it is natural language processing. Both the processes, it requires the language understanding. Now, are we able to understand the languages completely? No. To a certain extent, we have achieved the solutions today, but still it requires a lot of work. That's why cutting edge research is happening in the natural language understanding area also today, and it's not a full-fledged solution, right? And the fifth vector or fifth emerging technology, I would say the robotics, where we know that there is a repetitive work, that is A, B, C, D, which need to be defined, and you can just lift and shift and to perform the activities, right? But it's not just shifting the workload from man to machine. It is the way the work should be done, right? So how can we reduce the repetitive work steps? Now, if 10 steps are defined, can I automate certain things so that I can reduce it to 5 steps or 3 steps? So robotics is a continuous process of innovating how to reduce the steps, how to reduce the amount of effort that we are going to put, right? So looking at all five things here as an emerging technology from today's time, like I can say in 2022, all of them probably is going to last for next 2 to 5 years. And AI, it can go maybe beyond 5 years horizon. It could go to 5 to 10 years down the line, right? And almost it is going to touch each and every business that is available today. And also it will create certain new businesses as well. Now, as we see, so the new business means new products will come to the market, new solutions will come to the market, and you can see various you can say uh, ancillary services, the services that are actually feeding to the main product, right? So those things also you will be able to see. Now, looking at this, what is artificial intelligence? The artificial intelligence can be broken down into two parts. One is the narrow intelligence, one is the general intelligence. Everybody would expect that general intelligence would happen and it will take over, like the machines would take over the humans and they will perform things automatically. But that's a far ahead, or I can say that's a long future, not immediately happening even in 10 years or 5 years. Because what we are looking at, what we are solving today is, yeah. So I was talking about the types of artificial intelligence. So there are, I mean, if you look at the two kinds, one is general intelligence versus narrow intelligence. The general intelligence is something which is not in short run we can achieve, so it takes a lot of time. The narrow intelligence is all about completing a particular task. So, for example, using machine learning and AI to book a ticket, complete a transaction, or recognize certain objects, take certain decisions. So which requires little bit of training, and you can put them into production and achieve a particular task. So that's about the narrow intelligence piece that we are trying to do, and across the industry also that they're trying to do. But behaving like human beings and taking generic decisions, it's like far away from us. So while taking those decisions, or the machines with which we are developing, the programs that we are developing, and this can be broken down into machine learning and deep learning, etc. So which you will be learning in the course curriculum going ahead. Now, what are the top 5 AI trends that is happening today? I think number one is security and surveillance. Why it is importance? Because of the current geopolitical situations that everybody is aware about, right? So probably every day, if people are, if you guys are tracking the issues today, the geopolitical issues, maybe you can see every day, like around thousands of attacks are happening on the other countries. So I don't want to name the countries, you know the situation right now. And not just like because of the current geopolitical events, there is a continuous, you can say, attack on various like systems, networks to get the data, to do some ransomware activities. So these things are happening. Now, the interesting part here is that the attackers are using AI to attack it, right? Now the need is, how do you defend it? Are you going to use the AI solutions to defend? Now this is going to be a war between AI versus AI, right? Quite interesting. Now, how do you build such kind of systems? Because now there is a specific university of how to use AI to create attacks, right? So if you just do a little bit of Google search, you will be getting to know the universities. There are a couple of universities, right? So it's a bit interesting. Now, that's why topmost priority is security. Whether you are building a product or you are building some applications or solutions, first priority is security. How secure the application is, right? So you have to ensure security. There is no compromise on it. Now, the more AI-led services, the more ML-based services you are creating to secure your application, you are in a safe zone, right? Till that time, you have to keep continuously developing something and upgrading your security system. That's one. Number two is about streaming video analysis. So today, even if the video streaming is happening, for example, a CCTV camera is taking a footage of a road or a movement of vehicles or people, so there is no AI for it until and unless something is getting reported. So suppose just think about something is getting reported and you are just watching the video in the slow mode, or maybe you can say fast mode. You're just trying to recognize. But can we embed AI over there to automatically notify us that hey, something anomalous is happening here? Can you just take a look at it, right? So maybe we have it in bits and pieces, but it's not a full-fledged solution that is happening today. Now, how can we build the AI for streaming video analysis, right? Similarly, content creation also. Some degree of like narrations or natural languages you can generate using some kind of maybe a template-based approach, maybe a schema-based approach. But how do we generate content completely out of, like you can say, like it's synthetic narration? Can I create it, right? So now if I just display, let's take an image of an event. Now, can you generate the narrations out of it, like image captioning or something like that, right? So AI for content creation is a big area right now. There are like people, they're using to some extent the natural language processes or some of like the transformers of the GPT-3 or the Pegasus or T5 technologies, but that's not optimal. So there is a huge scope there to create content, right? And the content should be like innovative enough, like less plagiarism, right? Plagiarism free content creation, which displays like a human, like you can say context, right? So there is a need for it. Similarly, the image analytics, where we can see the images, but if we have to inspect the images in a certain corpus, so like is there any algorithm for that? Maybe, may not be. But there is a scope. Yes, definitely there is a scope. You have a bunch of like 20,000 images. put in a folder. Now I want to perform some search over there, right? I want to find out what is that birthday event when like people have splashed the cake on my face. I just wanted to recognize that particular image. I have 20,000 images in the folder. So how do I get to that? Right? Today, how we are using, you open this image and check this, okay, no, it's not, then you go to the next image, right? But is there any system that can tell you, okay, here, this is the image number. You click on this, you'll get what you are looking for, right? We don't have anything like that, right? Now, the other important point here is AI, everybody wants, but who is going to build it? You need to program it, you need to code it, right? But nobody likes code today. As a business, like as a small business, if you just think, I don't have people to code it. Can somebody just make a tool available to me so that I can implement AI within my small organization with probably like few drag and drops? I don't want to code at all because I'm not a coder. I don't have money or resources to hire some coders to do some activities, right? That's why this low code, no code tools are also getting popular nowadays. Now, how can we embed the AI related tasks into this no code tools so that the small and medium organizations, they can just do drag and drop, they can implement AI within their organizations, right? So these are the five different, you can say, trends that's happening today in the AI world, right? Now, looking at the emerging technologies, looking at the AI-based trends, what is common? So what is common is data. If you don't have data, you are just another person with some hypothesis in mind or just having an opinion, but you are not validating anything. I mean, if you want to validate certain hypotheses, if you want to do, or if you want people to hear you, you need to showcase data, right? So it should be data backed decisioning. You want to convey something, you want to message something, show me the data. Let the data do the talking, right? We cannot just assume certain things and we can interpret things the way we want. That's not the case. So data is important. Now, some people call it data is the new oil. Some people call it data is the money, whatever it is. You can call it anything, but data is data. You need data, right? Without data, you can't do anything, right? So first thing is data. Now, second important thing is if data is there, then there is some story hidden in it. What is that story? Maybe it is describing something. Maybe it is displaying some facts. Maybe it's displaying some kind of behaviors. Maybe it is displaying some kind of anomalous things. But there is something, some story hidden in the data, right? So as I said, almost 68% of the organizations, they don't really know how to like unlock the potential opportunities hidden in the data that they're storing in their database systems today, right? That's why if there is a story, what is the learning from it? Story is there. If I put a learning algorithm, I can make a prediction in future. I can make use of intelligence over there, right? So learning makes us intelligent. Similarly, learning makes our programs also intelligent. If my computer program that I'm writing using Python code or any other programming language, if it has a provision to learn from the behavior that is being displayed by data, right? And that becomes intelligent over time. I can use it any of the applications. I can use it in the downstream applications. Now it is working, fair enough. Not working, okay, evaluate once again. Is there a need for retrain? If retraining is not required, retain the solution, update it, and proceed further, right? So data is important. Learning how to learn, how to make the algorithm learn from the data, that is our task. As a data scientist or as a security analyst, or maybe you can say big data analyst or AI engineer, what kind of role? So depending on various organizations, there can be different kinds of roles. But the basic objective is someone should manage the data, someone should be training the algorithms from the data, someone should be conveying the applications, developing the applications, and someone should be taking care of the matrices that should be in place in order to ensure that the decision making is happening completely in an automated fashion, right? So this is the whole story of like why we need to be aware about what are the changes happening today and what we are going to do, right? So the next thing is how technology could change the business. Now, those emerging technologies that we spoke about in a couple of slides back, right? So first thing, what is relevant for my business? If I'm a small business, some technological revolution is happening. Now, what is its impact on my business, right? So if a tool is specific to my operations, my way of operations, yes, let me try it out. If it's working, fine. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Now look for some other techniques or some other applications, right? So experiment with all the evolving technologies that is coming to the fore, and also keep innovating. And when I say innovation, innovation comes from your experiment. If you perform experiment for 10 times, you would know what is working, what is not working. What is not working, now that's the scope. That's the innovation that you want to bring into the table, right? So experiment always propels to your innovation angle. So do more experiments and track the technological changes that is happening, and always keep searching for advanced tools. Some advanced tools, some, like you can say, few years back we are talking about data warehouses. Now came data lake house. Now there is so many other concepts. Now you can say like various other things today that they're getting evolved. But what are the changes? Is it improving the existing situation? Is it improving or bringing or additional value to the things that we have currently? If no, then I mean, you just know that, right? So you should be knowing what is working, what is not working. Now, second thing is that when you are working with an organization, right, and you have to think if a new technology is coming and there is a scope, should we buy it or should we build it? So how soon you can adapt the new technology? If you want to adapt the new technology very soon, go ahead and buy. Look for startups who are offering this kind of services, buy them. But if you have, like if you are a large organization, you have like manpower and strength there, you can start building the solution from scratch, right? So what is important is that whenever a new technological change is happening, experiment is important, assessment is also important. Now, when I say assessment, if this technology is improving certain things within the organization, if it's not improving, discard it, search for another tool or another technology and start experimenting, right? So I can give you the story of this Hadoop thing. When Hadoop came in the year 2000, like when theoretically it was existing like long back, but when practically people started writing MapReduce programs using like Python and R, using a Java process also MapReduce. So in 2012, right, people were not clear about whether Hadoop is going to change my life in the organization or not. They were not aware about that. Now today it's a norm. You have huge amounts of data, you have to store it in HDFS. Now it is so prevalent right now that even if you are consuming information from HDFS, also you are not getting to know that, right? So that's how the technology is going to be an integral part of your life in the organizations where we are working, and that's why it is important. The sooner you adapt to those technologies, it is better for you, right? So looking at the future here, like as Gartner says here, you can see what are the new things that is coming up in next, and what is the range of years it could stay. So if you just look at the majority of the things, self-supervised learning specific to machine learning, right? Multimodal UI, smart spaces, augmented reality in cloud, edge computing, which is hyper scalable, right? And password-less authentication system. It could be, you can say, just thoughtful authentication. You can say imaginative authentication. It can say speech-based authentication or tonality-based authentication. There can be various solutions to be built around it, right? These technologies, when I say these are very much needed today in terms of you can say usability, these are required today. And what's the time range when we are looking at when would we expect those technologies to come into the market so that somebody can buy it and use it? It could take probably maybe 1 to 3 years to build those technologies. So that's why this impact radar is something which tells you that what is the emerging thing, emerging technology, be it AI or non-AI, doesn't matter. what is that emerging technology, how soon people will get to that technology, and how soon people will start following things also, right? So the blue circles that you see, which is of a medium priority, you can see 6G is there. You can see the graph AI is also there. Edge AI is also there. Generative AI is also there. Couple of things are also in this area. So the idea here is you have to look for what is coming up in future and what it takes to build the skill sets if I want to get into this field in future, right? The other side of things is the strategic technology trends. If you just look at, you can see data fabric is there, cybersecurity mesh is there. So like there are so many other things also to it. Now, if I have to think about what is cybersecurity mesh and what is, as an analyst, what is going to be my contribution over there? What are the different roles in this cybersecurity mesh? How it is exactly created, right? What components needed, what tools needed, what type of expertise is required there. Now, can I develop those skill sets, right? Now, this is futuristic. Why? Because this is not existing today, right? Similarly, the hyper cycle, the exactly if you just look at the hype cycle of the AI, in the hype cycle, what like you can see, okay, things will come and things will go automatically, but it does stay also for a certain period of time, and during that time also it creates massive amount of opportunities. Now, as a whole, if I just look at this particular slide here, what are the key takeaways? If you just look at 2 to 5 years range, if you just look this blue dots here, so you can see computer vision, semantic search, composite AI, intelligent applications, machine learning, but these things are not going to go very soon. Even if the range is 2 to 5, it's just imagination, prediction, but it is there to stay, and it will stay for another 5 to 10 years. Now, 5 to 10 years means just imagine in this particular field, right? So there is something else would come, but that will have some relation with this existing technologies, right? So how do you build such kind of skill sets? And this one, more particularly, this is like the functions, or you can say this is quite general and this is very specific. In the specificity here, you can say quantum ML, you can say multi-cloud, generative AI, or some kind of AI augmented software engineering. So these are the fields which is also, again, it just starts now and it will stay for next at least 5 to 10 years, which is significant enough. So how do we build skill sets? By looking at the things that is coming up. You can say the tsunami of things which are coming up for next 5 to 10 years. How do I get myself ready for that? Right? Now it's applicable for all, even like people who are just pursuing the MTech straight out of college, or professionals having few years of experience or having a decade or more than a decades of experience, right? So how do we think innovation in these lines? Now we know what is coming up. We know the topic wise. You can say model ops is there, responsible AI is there, generative AI is there. So many things are connected to AI. Not only AI, you have other things also. For example, digital ethics is there, cybersecurity is also there. How do you secure and protect your applications? That is also there. So there are things. Now, how do we build expertise around this? So innovation is required. Now, what is the innovation? How do I start innovation? Conceptualization is the first step in performing any kind of innovation. Think and conceptualize what you are trying to develop. It should be very specific to the business problem. Now you get to the concept, think about how you want to solve it. Do you want to solve it in a traditional way and having some enhanced layers on top of it? Or you want to completely scrap the idea and you have to develop from scratch once again, right? Now, while idea formulation or validating your idea, talk to the experts, talk to your mentors, talk to your colleagues from different other industries, get their perspectives and understand whether the idea is viable idea or not, right? Now, once you get the idea validated, then think about what is existing, what is already out in the market today. Who are the competitors? How they are solving it, right? Do they have a proprietary way of solving it? Are they solving it using third-party cloud provider services, or they are building it from scratch? What is the key differentiator? So always innovation requires key differentiation. You have to differentiate yourself from others. What others are doing, if I'm doing the same thing, there is no point, right? So how my solution is different from others. Then while talking to friends, knowing what is existing today, knowing the competition, right? So you can think your vision, what you are trying to do, and also take inspiration from the existing products, the features that the existing products have. Now, if the inspiration and the vision coalition you can do and develop a solution, right? While in the process of development, always think if somebody else is also coming to the market with this idea, continuously keep tracking the market. Now, the only way to keep track of the market is read every day around this particular area, right? Read articles, read journals, read the research papers, peer-reviewed research papers. Always look for information that has some link with the solution that you are developing. Then, once development is complete, implement it. Seek feedback from your mentors, colleagues, friends, or maybe like whosoever understands this. Get feedback from them. Evaluate whether the feedback is meaningful or not, right? The phase it out. Now, some feedbacks would be useful, but you cannot do it right now. Phase it out. Next phase, you can think about this. Then, right, once it is evaluated, it is working. Now it's ready. Next step is how to build prototypes out of it. So your idea validation is very much important, and that's how you will innovate things in this emerging world or here with emerging technologies and AI, right? Now, how do we start? To start, always, like as I said here in the previous slide, conceptualization. Now, conceptualization regarding what, right? So think about the industry you are operating. Maybe you are working in aerospace engineering or manufacturing industry, banking, retail, insurance, healthcare, whichever industry you are working or familiar with. Understand the use case. Think about the use cases. What are the different use cases could be used, right? So once you think about the use case, then you will get to know that how people are solving it today currently. What's wrong with the existing approach or current approach? How it should be ideally solved. You can just imagine. So maybe some of the ideas you will get as a solution maybe may not be implementable. Maybe it's just a solution idea. Execution is difficult. You can't do that. Some ideas you think it is a potential solution to the problem I'm talking about, but I don't have skill sets to implement it. So if you break it while thinking solution, you'll get four things. One, solution is doable, but it is not doable in the short run. It is doable in the long run because you don't have resources and time right now. Your solution is not practically implementable. Theoretically, maybe it sounds good, right? Third one is your solution is implementable, but you don't have the skill sets or you don't have people to execute it. And the solution is like it's not a practical solution. So you can't just get to the implementation step itself. So these are the four outcomes while thinking solutions, right? The first three you can definitely solve. You don't have skill set, form a team, collate the skill sets from your friends and colleagues, start creating a micro team and think about executions. Now that's how you will proceed the previous slide of like basically how to collect things, start developing the prototypes, right? So while thinking solution, not only one solution, think about multiple experiments, right? You can do solo or team. So start with multiple experiments and collect the results of all those experiments together to put it as a solution. Then again, take it to your mentors, take it to your faculties, experts, present them ideas, seek feedback. They tell that, okay, this is good enough and you should proceed. So then take it to the market. While taking it to the market, you can approach the conferences, then write a paper around this, present it in some international conferences. That's how people will get to know that this is what you have developed and it has a potential, right? So the only way to discover is ask right questions, identify right problems, identify right solution. and think about how to bring it to the market, right? So that's all from my side. If you have any questions, I would be happy to take it up.